Well, hello to Shelton Park, White Oak and Nantucket Elementary Schools for your very own live school safari. My name is Brent. I've got my good friend David on camera, and we're going to go head out into the African bush to see what we can find. There we go. Look at this. Isn't a beautiful day? It is hot, probably around 88, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And hopefully we're going to find you some big cats. So I'm heading out to look for a leopard, a big male leopard. He's the dominant male leopard in this area. And let's hope we can find him snoozing in the heat. He was quite hungry when I saw him this morning. Hello, Abigail. We are in South Africa, Abigail, in a place called Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is part of the Greater Kruger National Park, which is over 5 million acres of unfenced wilderness for the animals to roam in, and we are lucky enough to live here. Abigail? Now I'm going to see what animals we can find. When it's hot like this, we often don't see too many animals. They might be snoozing in the shade. And we've got a lot of different animals we might see today. I know Taylor's looking for lions. Tristan's also looking for leopard. We might see impala, which is a type of antelope. We might see zebra, wildebeest, elephant, buffalo. And we're just going to have to wait and see as we travel through the bush to see what's around in the next corner. Hello, Caden. Caden, yes, indeed, there are lots of snakes. But the snakes are quite scared of us. They like to run away from us. So we do find snakes, but they're not. There are some very dangerous snakes, but if you are nice to snakes, snakes are generally nice to you. Snakes are more scared of you than you are of them. Now, at the house I live in here, I think I have caught and moved over 10 different species of snake, including some very dangerous ones. A Mozambique spitting cobra, a puff adder, Nikki, who's our director, who's talking to me and giving me all your questions. Nikki nearly stood on a puff adder the one evening at that house, so that was close, but luckily the puff adder made a big hissing noise because it was scared. So it told Nikki, "Don't stand on me, Nikki, please, and then I'll have to bite you." Okay, let's have a look here. So what I'm doing now is looking for the footprints of the leopard. So he was somewhere around here. Now actually, what is the time, Elijah? The time here is 20 to 4 in the afternoon. So 20 to 4 in the afternoon, 3:40 p.m. is the time, Elijah. Okay. I want to check very, very carefully around here, because I saw that leopard when it was getting hot. So what happens when it gets too hot, often the leopards will find a nice big shady tree or shady spot to go have a snooze during the day. Big cats are quite lazy, like your cats at home, but even more than your cats at home. Will sleep, well, lions can sleep over 20 hours a day, and leopards probably 16 to 18 hours a day. So that's, if you ever hear your mom and dad or your teacher saying they're going to have a cat nap, then they're going to sleep the whole day and the whole night. Just sleep for 20 minutes, because that's not a cat nap. Okay, no footprints just yet. Hello, Zarian. Now, Zarian, leopards eat lots of different things. They've probably got the most varied diet of all the big cats, but everything they eat is meat. So they will catch them and then suffocate them. Now, let's stop in the shade very carefully. So, leopards and lions have very big teeth, big canine teeth. And everyone, when they see a leopard or lion's big teeth, they think that's what kills the animal. That's not what kills the animal. So they normally use a strangulation hold. What happens is those big canines will sink into the flesh behind your esophagus. So if you feel there, you feel that's your esophagus. That's where your air comes in. So the big teeth sink, and there's a special gap between the other leopard's teeth that pinches it closed so you can't breathe. And there's a couple of reasons why they do that. Of course, to kill the animal, but more importantly, to kill the animal quietly. Because if that animal can make a noise like this, what happens is the hyenas and the other animals might come steal the meat from the leopard. Now, I'm going to keep looking for my leopard, but I am not the only person out here. My good friend Taylor is looking for lions, not in a car, on foot.
Hello everybody, hello, welcome. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. And how cool is it that you get to come on this bushwalk with us? Now there's one other person I want to show you, and that is Rexon over there standing just around the bend. Now Rexon's going to be on walk with us, and you may see that he has got a rifle. He's got a gun with him. So when you are walking out in the bush, it's very, very important that you stay safe. And, well, to stay safe in the bush, you use your brain. We use our knowledge, and we're well-trained walking guides out here. But we have to carry a rifle with us. But I can't carry a rifle and do the walk, so Rexon's here, and he is our security. He's an extra pair of eyes and ears, and he's an exceptional tracker too. So if we pick up a footprint on those lions, I can promise you he's going to do a much better job than me at trailing the animal, because that is one of the hardest things to do in the bush. Now, I saw something down here, which I'll tell you about in a minute. Now, we're in an area, there's not lots of grass around here. Can you see that? It's not very nice. Little bits of grass. So you wouldn't find too many animals around here. Sometimes you see impala, but Khalil, zebra, I don't know if we find zebra over here, because they like lots and lots of grass. We might find them down on the plains and that side. But for the moment, that's actually not what we're looking for. We think that there could be some buffalo around here, and we know that there are lions in the area. So, because we know that there are lions in the area, one of the most important things when you're out in the bush is to use your eyes very carefully, to use your ears to listen. So we often stop and we listen. Now, our sense of smell is not as good as the animals, so it's pretty useless. We can pick up some smells, but not as good as, say, a lion or a leopard or an impala or a zebra. So the other thing is we need to make sure where the wind is coming from at all times. So you can actually use animal dung to do so. Okay, that's good for us. So we are walking into the wind at the moment, and that's good because we know that the lions are a little bit north of us. So north is down that way. So as we walk, that wind is going to sort of muffle the sound. So when I'm walking, you're not going to hear the plants squashing as much. Also, they won't be able to smell us, so that's good news. But let's carry on. Ooh, this is my favorite question to answer, and the question comes from Mrs. Mercy's class. So you've asked me what is my favorite animal. It's easy. That is an easy question. The favorite animal of Taylor is elephants. And the reason why I love the elephants so much is because you can watch them for hours and hours and hours, and they're always doing something. They're never just standing, sleeping. Sometimes, but only every now and then. But they're eating, and because they live in big groups, or the little babies will play with one another, it's really cool. Now, Alexis was wanting to see the elephant, so I've got some grass seeds stuck in my shoe already. What we will do, Alexis, it's because it's a very hot day today, I think that a lot of the elephants will be wanting to go for a drink, or maybe even splash some water on themselves, cover themselves with mud to keep nice and cool. And there's quite a few little pans around here. There's some watering holes. So perhaps we'll try and check them as well to see if we can find some of them. Right, we're going to keep walking and hopefully we're going to get closer and closer to these lions. We're not going to pat them. We'll just hopefully see them from a distance. But off you go back to Brent.
Okay, so I'm back in the area where that leopard was last seen. So what I'm doing is I'm looking in the shade and trying to find where his tracks cross. So he's going to be lying somewhere here. Now this male leopard likes to sit up high, so he might be sleeping in a tree or he might be sleeping on a termite mound. Now, I've been living in the African bush my whole life, Robbie, and when I was probably your age, sometimes I used to get a little bit scared, but now, Robbie, I don't get scared. I get excited. So, let's just turn around here. I'm trying to see if we can see his footprints. Hello, Lola. Yes, Lola, we do have giraffe. Unfortunately, there are not many giraffe in the area I'm driving at the moment. And they like a certain type of tree called an acacia tree. It's got thorns and it's got tasty leaves. But the area I'm looking for the leopard in the moment has trees that giraffe don't find too tasty. But maybe Taylor or Tristan might find a giraffe. Okay, let's go back. I don't want to go down this road anymore. I think he's over there. Now, often how we find animals is we think like the animals. So I said, if I was this male leopard, where would I walk when it was very hot? So I'm going to go where I think he is. Now, you've met Taylor. Let's go see Tristan, who's looking for a different leopard. Oh dear, it sounds like Tristan's got some problems with his car, so you're back with me. And we're going to speed, because we've already checked here, to go around and see if that leopard has headed towards a different road. Oh dear, the game drive radio is making lots and lots of noise. I'm just going to turn it down. Here we go. Now, we're looking for a sleepy leopard during the day now, Max. Leopards are mostly nocturnal, which means they like to move around more at night than during the day. But they are nocturnal, so they do sleep a little bit at night, but they will move more at night than they do during the day. Okay, so I think the leopard's going to be over here. Okay, well, I head to where I think the leopard's going to be. Let's go see what Taylor's doing on foot.
Or doing gardening. brain sore. Now I found one of my favorite plants. Now you're all probably, Taylor, how can you have a favorite plant? And this is actually one of the favorite plants of the animals too. This is called a round leaf teak. It's a very small one. Maybe some of you know of teak. Maybe your mom has got a nice dining table that's made of teak wood, or perhaps a couch, or not a couch, because couches are not normally made out of wood. There's lots of things that you can make out of. But now, this is really easier to identify because look at the very round leaves. Can you see that? They're so...
One in the sun, Christy.
Would you like one in the sun?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Seb has been very picky this afternoon.
Yes.
So this is very easy to identify, but they do get quite tall, but we don't see too many big ones out here. Now, you can see, look, there's been some caterpillars that have been eating it, even if I look at this one. Look at that. See that? Look at all the holes in it. Definitely some caterpillars eating all of this. I actually think the caterpillar from the green-striped hawk moth is the culprit. Maybe if we look carefully, we might find it. But then also, buffalo will eat the teak, and zebras, impala, kudu. It's delicious. But you normally only see buffalo eating it when we come into winter, when there's really not a lot of grass growing around. Then they'll go for something like this. But it's a very popular plant, and that's why they're so small as well. They don't get a chance to grow so big because everybody wants to eat them. They're delicious. Let's go to the next one. Now, speaking of buffalo, our buffalo are a little bit different to the American bison, Ayla, and I think that's what you were asking, is if the buffalo in America are the same ones in Africa. No, they're two different types. So our ones actually look like a big cow, but an angry cow, and their horns go round like this, and the males, the boys, have got like a big helmet on their head. And well, seeing as we're going closer towards the lions normally follow the buffalo. So maybe we're going to find them. And I've got something else that may attract the buffalo. Are you ready? This tree over here. Look at it. It's got lots and lots of prickles on it though. Lots of thorns. And it's actually called a buffalo thorn, Ayla. Can you believe it? It's like, what a coincidence. You were thinking exactly about what I was thinking. Now, the reason why they call it buffalo thorn is because buffalo, when they are being attacked or chased around by lions, even though they've got thick skin and they've got big horns to try and protect themselves, sometimes it's just not enough when there are lots and lots of lions trying to climb onto your back. So what they will do, I'm going to try and not get stuck now. They will reverse, and then they'll stick their bottoms as far into the tree as they can, because these thorns won't do anything to the tough skin of the buffalo. If I were to get stuck in there, it's going to make me bleed. Lions or whatever's trying to eat them, probably lions with their horns that can and throw them around. The lions don't want to come around this side of the tree because their skin is not as tough, so they're going to get caught on all those thorns. So we actually call this tree a wachabiki. Now, that's a word that says wait a bit. So, because when you get stuck, you can't just rip off of it. You have to wait a little bit. You have to move the thorns around to try and unhook them very, very carefully. Then, I have to tell you another story. This morning, I was trying to sleep. First time, I had a morning off, and I was, oh, this is so nice. I can relax. It's beautiful. And then all I hear is on the roof. Guess who it was? The baboons. The baboons were running over the tin roof, making noises. I heard them fighting with the kitchen door, trying to pull it off so they could steal all the food. And then everyone was running out and shouting at them. Do you know what they were really coming for? Besides all the nice food in the kitchen, is that this tree gets a very nice fruit. And we've got a very big buffalo thorn. This is a small buffalo thorn that's growing over the roofs. And it's starting to produce fruit now. And those baboons know. They go, we love eating the buffalo thorn fruit. So they've come to try and steal those. And, well, if you leave the kitchen open, they're very clever. They're not going to say no. They're going to go in and take all our delicious food. Better not take my chocolate, otherwise there's going to be problems with those baboons. So here we go. Buffalo thorn. We'll see if we can find some that maybe has a bit of fruit. But we're going to keep going down this pathway where there could be buffalo, where there could be elephants, where there could be a lion. And while we walk down this pathway, let's go to Brent to see where he is.
Well, we've had a look down this road that if there's no leopard tracks here, I think that leopard is sleeping in the long grass, so maybe we'll let him sleep and come back when it's a bit cooler. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to head towards the water holes to see if I can find any elephants. As I said, when it's hot like this, a lot of the animals are hiding in the shade. Hello, Zoe. Zoe, animals find water from lots of different places. Animals like elephants and buffalo will drink at water holes where there's water all year round. And we've got some animals that live out here that don't even need to drink water. They get the water from the food they eat. And maybe I can find you one of those. One of those is a little antelope called a steenbok. And they get water from whatever they eat. So they will drink if there's water available, but if there's no water available, they don't need to find water. Okay. Let's have a look. There's some little water holes close by. Hello, Mackay. Mackay, yes, there are some fossils here, but it's not the best area to find fossils. Now, fossils, you need a very, very specific set of circumstances for a fossil to be created. So there are some fossils here. Most of the fossils we find in this part of the Sabi sands, or this part of South Africa in particular around here, will be hominin fossils, so human fossils, but not... Oh, pigs having a fight. I haven't forgotten about your question, Mackay, but I just saw some warthogs. What are they got? Oh, they've got a scrub hare. Or they've actually... So pigs will sometimes eat meat. And now what's happened, this is very, very cool. I can't see what meat it is. It looked like a baby. Yes, it's a little rabbit, a little scrub hare that looks like the pigs have killed. Now, it is unusual, but they will sometimes eat meat. They are omnivores, which means they eat both meat and grass, but mostly grass. Isn't that amazing? That is not something you see every day. Now, a lot of animals out here eat meat, and this is nature, guys. So the animals have to kill to survive. Well, not normally warthogs, but they will. Look at that. That is incredible. This is very rare behavior. Now, I'm going to keep watching this very interesting, very rare warthog behavior. In the meantime, let's go see if Taylor's managed to find something on foot.
I'm trying to open the gates for Sebastian. How am I going to do this, Seb? There we go. Let's Seb go through. Now, the reason why I'm whispering, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? If you can't, turn the volume up. Turn it up louder. I promise I won't be loud and make you all deaf. There are maybe some elephants around here. Rexon said he could hear them, so now we must be very quiet. We want to try and sneak up to the elephants because they are not tame, they are not pets. I can't go and call the elephants in and play with them. So they don't like us on foot. So we're going to go a bit closer. We're going to keep going to where Rexon is. And try not to fall. You have to be very careful when you're on bushwalk. You've got to put one foot in front of the other. And make sure you don't step on snakes. make sure that you don't step on any branches, because the elephants like feeding down here in this drainage line. It's nice and cool. There's lots and lots of trees for them to eat. But I think they might be up and on the other side. They might actually be feeding towards where those lions are. So we have to be very careful, because if those elephants see the lions, they might get a fright. They might turn and come running back towards us. So we want to listen very carefully today. So we'll keep going. Look. Elephant. This is from the elephants. This is the dung. It's not very fresh, but you can see the elephants like it down here. So I'm going to keep whispering. I'm going to keep moving. And we're going to try and put an elephant on the camera for you. So while we do that, off you go back to Brent.
While we're still watching this incredible behavior, and I don't want to scare the warthogs off. Now, normally a scrub hare would be way too fast for a warthog. So there were 3 of them. I wonder if that scrub hare just barreled into them by accident. Now that's really, really good nutrients for this animal. So warthogs normally eat grass and bulbs, grass bulbs, tubers, roots, but they do occasionally eat meat, and they will eat meat. Sometimes they'll steal meat from leftovers from a leopard kill or a lion kill, but this, to see them with their own little carcass, is very rare. Actually, I think I've figured out what happened, Dave. I think it was killed by a predatory bird, an eagle, and while the eagle was still fighting with the hare while it was alive, the warthogs charged in and chased them off. That's what happened. I don't think these warthogs caught it themselves. I think they stole it from a bird. Let me just move forward a little bit for you, Dave. How's that, Dave? Now, an interesting question indeed from Dylan. Do you ever go on safari and not see any animals? Well, never, Dylan. We'll always see something, whether it's a bird or a spider or an impala or a warthog, but sometimes we go on safari and we don't always find the big cats we're looking for, but we will always see something. Now, you can see the little warthog in the background is just eating grass and roots, while the one in the front is eating the scrub hare. Now, it looked like it just ate the liver. Now, the liver will be very rich in iron. Now, I'm going to keep watching this warthog to see if it finishes the whole little hare. In the meantime, Taylor has got a pretty flying insect.
Look how cool this is. Look how beautiful this moth is. I don't think I've ever seen one as pretty as this before. It's almost like a tiger. Don't you think? It's got like stripes on it, but it's white and gold instead of, well, I suppose an orangey colour and black hair. And then there's something else that's really cool. Look here when I lift this leaf up. There's eggs. Can you see those little eggs there? They're rather big eggs. I don't know if they're the eggs of this moth or if they're from something else, just because to me that looks really, really big. Like really, really large. And normally the eggs of caterpillars and moths, of butterflies and moths are relatively small. So it could be from something else. But it looks like some of them have hatched as well. There's a variety of different things. Look at this beetle, Seb. Look at this tree is full of life. Amazing. Look there. Oh, never mind. Don't look there because it dropped off of the leaf. We won't be looking at that beetle. What else can we find? I'm sure I saw an ant. Where's the ant? That insect didn't want to be on TV today. It's okay. But that's so cool. Now, normally when a caterpillar, or not a caterpillar, I keep saying caterpillar, I mean to be saying butterfly, or a moth, or a beetle lays its eggs, it means that those little baby butterflies and moths and beetlets will have to eat the leaves that the eggs have laid on. So I don't know if it's from that same moth. I just think it looks a bit big. Look, Seb, here's an ant. Here's a polyrhynchus ant. They're so cool. Look at that thing. Now, those are delicious. My mouth is salivating. I didn't have any lunch today. I don't think I'm going to eat it. I think I will let it live, though. But they taste amazing. Apparently, they taste like lemon drops. So a little bit sour. Now it's cleaning its antenna. Look at that. Now they use those antennas, those things sticking out from the top of its head. They use those for communication. Normally when they see one another, they communicate with chemicals. So it's special medicine, I suppose, that they talk to one another with. Now here's something. Where are my bites? Because Heidi, you're wondering if we get these mosquitoes. I'm trying to find them. I was bitten all over my hands. Oh, it was my thumb. There we go. Look there. There and there. Can you see them, Seb?
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
red spots? Heidi? So yes, we get mosquitoes here. And they love to bite me all the time. I don't love mosquitoes. They drink way too much of my blood. So we do. And especially we've had lots of rain now. So there's lots of puddles. And that's where the mosquito babies live, is they live in the water. And then eventually they turn into ones with wings and they buzz around looking for something to eat. But it's the girls. It's the girls that are sucking the blood, not the boys. They're vegetarians. Anyways, let's carry on with our walk. I'm sure I could hear the elephants flapping their ears against their body. I think Brent is still sitting with the warthog.
We are. And one of the other warthogs tried to steal a little piece from the mom warthog, and it got chased away. Heaven, you've got very good eyes. You can see the warthogs often walk on their elbows, and they do that because it enables them to get closer to their food. And they are even born with extra padding, like skateboard knee guards on their elbows, from when they are tiny babies, so they're able to feed like that. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to try and get a bit closer. Hi, Kirsten. Kirsten, animals, the day never ends unless you, a certain animal, a warthog, when it gets dark, will go into a hole under the ground. So it can try and hide from lions and leopards. But most other animals will rest at night. But a lot of animals, they only become awake at night. This is incredibly fascinating. Now, leopards normally sleep on the ground, Brianna, or sometimes in a tree, but mostly on the ground. And they can sleep anywhere that is within their territory. Now, it looks like this warthog has nearly finished that little scrub here. Now, have you guys got any questions about warthogs? I'd love to hear your questions about warthogs. Look at that. Right. You can see how it's using its foot to stand on the skin of the animal to pull some of the meat off, because the fur is not going to taste very nice. It's also something a warthog is not going to be able to digest. Look at that. I'm going to try sneak a bit closer again. Warthogs can be quite vocal, Miss Mary. Normally they'll have lots of little low grunts and snorts between each other, but when they're in distress, if a leopard's caught one or whatnot, they squeal very similarly to a domestic pig. There we go, you can see it's nearly finished the whole scrub here. Now, the warthogs have the bottom tushes, which are the bottom tusks, that are razor sharp, that will actually even slice through the little bones of that hair. Now, as I said, this is very rare to see and very unusual, Gracie. Warthogs will normally eat grass and roots and fruits, but they do eat meat, but it's very, very rare. You maybe only will see warthogs eating meat once or twice in a whole year. Very, very interesting behavior to watch. Now, I'm going to stick with this warthog till it finishes that whole little bunny. In the meantime, let's go see where Taylor's walking to next.
I'm trying to find some cool tracks for you, because these ones we've kind of walked over. But if you look very carefully, I'm going to try and draw it for you. Look. And there should be another one here. But Rexon stood here. And here's the paw. That's from a lion. Now the lions were going after this animal that walked here. Again, you can't see the whole track because a car drove here this morning. As you can see, there's a line there, and the track would come like this. Something like that. And that's a buffalo that has walked here. So the lions love to eat buffalo. Those footprints don't look anything like that. I'm just a terrible drawer, which is why I have to do this job, and I'm not an artist. So we must be very careful, because we're walking in the same place where elephants and lions were. Now, they would have been chasing these buffalo last night, so there'd probably be big gaps between the two. And Buffalo can run quite quickly, Noah. They can run a lot faster than you and I could run. I'd say that they could get up to about 35 kilometers an hour. I'm not sure what that is in miles, unfortunately. But they can move really, really quickly. Even Usain Bolt, he might only be able to outrun them for maybe 10 seconds, and then he'll be caught by them. I was once chased by a buffalo, quite close to camp. I don't know how I managed to get away from it, but I did. Right, so we're looking. We think we could be close to where those buffalo and lions are. We'll see if we can find any more tracks so I can show you how big their feet are. Now, as soon as we were chatting about the lions and I've got my eyes on the ground, because Rexon's looking up ahead, I just want to see if I can find a nice track. Nikki, who's asking that question? Theo. Yes, it was Theo. You and I, to keep clean, Theo, we would have a shower, we would have a bath, even take a towel, a wet towel, and wipe ourselves. Now, the way lions keep themselves clean is they have to use their tongues. They can't go for a shower, so they'll lick themselves, clean themselves, and that removes all the dirt. And then to get to the face, they'll lick their paws and do this to get any of all the mud, the blood, the dung, whatever's got on them. That's how they keep themselves clean. It's like how your cat cleans itself at home, or even your dog. They do the same thing out here. Whew, it's getting hot. I'm getting nervous because it always can be quite scary when you're out on a walk. It's important that you have a good respect for the animals out here, and we are walking around with them, so you've got to be very, very careful. But I know we're in good hands. Rexon's a very experienced guide. I've been guiding for a few years as well. Seb's the one that needs to worry. I'm only joking. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that, and maybe next time when you join us, we will be able to show you some lions or elephants on foot, but they escaped us today. Anyways, we'll see you all next time. Remember to do your homework, to brush your teeth, brush your hair, and eat your vegetables. For the rest of you that are going to carry on watching, off you go, back across to Brent with that very interesting warthog behavior.
Well, it's unfortunately all Dunskies. Let's go have a look what they left behind there. I think we're pretty much just going to find the skin. So with the little kitties around, I couldn't go into too much detail about what was actually going on. So that warthog actually crushed open the skull, ate the brain. I did leave a little bit of meat on one of the legs. How's that, Dave? So that's all that's left. I mean, when we arrived, it looked like an absolutely full scrub hair. And what does it say? I think happened is that a bird of prey killed it, and the warthogs chased the bird of prey off. Let me just actually have a closer look here. Dave, how much do you like me? You sure, Dave? This is excellent dubbing for fly fishing, to make little nymphs. So I might be needing to get my next bit of fly tying equipment from the scrub hair. Maybe not. Maybe. It's a pity. No, this is actually a really interesting opportunity. We don't get this too often. But do you have a knife on you, Dave? Yeah, sorry. Otherwise, it's just going to be a little bit cumbersome here. And I want to show you what a scrub hare's feet look like. Because, let me just find the gap in the bone there, just to get this funny long piece off. Don't look, guys, it's quite gross. There we go. Okay. So I want to... Sorry, it is quite gross, guys, but I mean, this is really fascinating. We don't get to see this type of stuff often. Look at that. Look at that foot. It is completely covered in hair, and that makes them be able to move so quietly. So they can move very quietly to try and avoid detection from predators. So, I mean, look at that. That's why often when you see the scrub hare runs at the last second, and the predators often don't hear it immediately, it's because their feet are completely covered in fur. Now, when they fight, however, and they do fight over females, there underneath this fur is a really, really nasty, sharp claw. Look at that. So there are quite a few of them, and they will actually kick each other with great vigor with these really sharp nails. But I mean, I still find it fascinating that the fur covers. I mean, you can't even see the pads. They're completely covered in fur. So you can see it just makes them so quiet when they move. Yuck. It's a pity Steve's not here, otherwise we could try feed him something else. Sorry, Angela, I did warn that it is quite gross, but it is so fascinating to see, and it's quite nice to be able to see this type of stuff, because we don't see it too often. Okay. David, I'll clean your life later. Thank you, David. Oh, sorry, Dave, there's still a bit of meat there. Okay. So, I'm pretty sure Hukumuri is still sleeping between the Gari Rapita and Impala Plains. It's still hot. There's no tracks of him coming out. So I'm just going to take a little trundle down, see if Hassan is still around Twin Dams. And then when it gets cooler, I might head back in this direction. Okay, let's get moving. Oopsie. Rusty's running so nicely at the moment. She had a service, so new oil, new antifreeze, new fluids. So you can listen to her roar, the Rusty roar. Now, we do see scrub hares often, but we don't actually often talk too much about what they eat and whatnot. So guide monkey, they do not dig in the ground for food at all. They are grazers. They eat grass and some small bushes, so they don't dig for their food at all. And with those very fluffy feet, it would be quite difficult. So even though they do have those long claws, you can see those barely ever touch the ground. And those claws are there mostly for fighting. Now, a scrub hare punch-up can be quite a serious affair. And it can be very, very aggressive with each other and make some very strange noises as well. Hares can scream almost when they're in massive distress. And most of the time when we hear screaming hares, however, it is when they are caught by wild dogs, and it's a very short and then they're gone into 3 or 4 different bits, depending on how many wild dogs are around. Hello, Amaya. Amaya is 6 years old. No, Amaya, I'm not scared of the germs from the blood and from the meat. It is a very, very fresh carcass, and there's very few diseases that a hare is going to carry that translate over to human beings. If I was picking up and dealing with a predator carcass, so a lion or a hyena or something that was been smelly for a long time, I'd have to be very careful and probably wear gloves. But a fresh carcass like that is completely fine. It's just like picking up a piece of meat at the butchery or in the supermarket. Apart from the fact it's still got hair on it and has been crunched up by a warthog, but so no, man, I'm not scared of the germs. However, I would not touch that elephant at the moment. That would be very bad and very smelly, and I'd wash my hands immediately with lots of disinfectant if I did. Now, there's some interesting studies talking about germs. Thank you for giving me such a good idea. With when it comes to raising of children and sickness and all that type of stuff, and the more kids are in contact with germs from a young age, and you get good germs, you get bad germs, but even being in contact with quite a lot of bad germs from a young age helps children build immunities. And one of the things that these new fancy pants air conditioners actually remove the germs from the air that's circulating, and there's a study that shows a correlation between children with a very weak immune system in households that are using those germ removing air conditioners, and sort of, I mean, obviously you must wash your hands and all that type of stuff, but sort of over pedantic cleanliness is actually causing a sort of a generation of sickly people, because once they are out and get exposed to germs, they don't have any of the natural immunities that someone who wasn't sort of kept sheltered from germs would have. So I'm definitely didn't have a sheltered upbringing when it came to dealing with germs and carcasses and dung and whatnot, growing up on having the family farm and growing up in wildlife reserves and getting to go along on game capture and whatnot. And my parents are very nonplussed about that type of stuff. My dad's also got a theory. He says, if you want to see a stressed, crying child, look for a stressed parent. A pedantic parent, you'll have a pedantic child. You have a relaxed parent, you have relaxed children. So, well, that's my dad's theory on parenting anyway. And my brother and I didn't turn out too badly, after all. But yeah, so even we used to drink water straight out of the rivers, on the farm and stuff, where we were sort of told, a lot of people were told, don't drink it. Now, of course, there were some bad things in it. There were people living on the river, but we drank that water and stuff like that. And I mean, now, this day and age, when camp goes down, I sort of still seem to be the last man standing. It's quite fun seeing everyone else miserable, and you're like, ha ha. No, you should have drunken more dirty water as a child, you silly people. Anyway, let's send you back to Taylor.
Okay, I'm gonna whisper again. We are in the area where the lions were. I'm just keeping a very careful eye out at the moment. I'm not going to be looking at any of you right now. I need to give Rex a hand. The grass is tall. There's lots of big trees. They could be anywhere. Because Franklin's were alarming, so the chances that the lions already heard us or smelt us and got up and moved slightly is very high. Remember, even though lions are the biggest cats in Africa, they're still pretty scared of us on foot during the day. We don't want to scare them. That's not our aim here today. Our aim is, of course, just to observe and to try and help everybody find them. Seb, I don't know how you're going to go under here. You're going to go there. Okay. Seb's just going to use another route, as he's got a big antenna on the back of his backpack. Thank you, CNAC, for saying be careful. We'll be as careful as we can. We always are. Like I said, these animals don't want to hurt us. We don't want to hurt them. But because it is so thick here, we do need to be extra vigilant. I mean, they could have easily got up and moved already. It's been quite hot. Maybe there wasn't enough shade around. So we are trying to have a look. The wind is swirling quite a bit in this direction. Sorry, in this area. So they could be anywhere. I mean, you can see, look how thick it is. It's like a silver clustery forest. Rexon already thinks that they maybe moved a little bit to the east. I don't know if he's maybe seen some tracks. The ground is very hard here, so it's not the easiest, but they're definitely around. back on this way. Mac Rambo. You're making me giggle in this serious situation. Thank you for that. Because of course when you're in bushwork, everything is a little bit serious. You have to make sure that you are careful. Don't have the protection of the vehicle. And you said that if you were in my shoes, you would poop your pants. It's pretty intimidating. Walking with the biggest cats. Quite a large bride. But it's still quite cool though. I think they're running here. Rex seems to think that they've maybe moved off in this direction, so we're going to keep going. We did see where they were lying on the road earlier. So they could have been moving around. I don't know where that herd of buffalo has gone. But their tracks are all around here. I'm just following Rex now. Also got to be careful, watch for snakes. Watch where we put our feet. But we're going to keep looking, and hopefully if we get a glimpse of those big cats, we'll call you back very quickly. But in the meantime, while we try and figure out where exactly they've gone, what route they've taken, let's go back to Brent.
He headed east from the elephant carcass, and I might head down towards the elephant carcass when it's a bit cooler. Okay. Dave, when was the last time you were at the elephant carcass? Yesterday. How's your nose? Fragile. Dave's nose is fragile. That's tempting for me. Because I think Conrad, Tristan and myself are completely immune to the smell of the elephant carcass, the amount of time we've spent around it in the last 2 days. Now you can actually start smelling it easily. Apparently a lot of people were agreeing with my dad. Stressed parents equals stressed children. Unstressed parents equals unstressed children. We had my brother and I had an incredible upbringing. We got to do all sorts of things that most people never get to experience as adults, let alone as kids. I mean, there's pictures of us sitting on both black and white rhino that were sleeping from the age of 4, 5, and flying in aeroplanes with lions and all sorts of strange things we got up to as children. Lucky I had adventurous parents, I suppose. Now we are downwind of the elephant carcass. Let's have a look. There's quite a lot of hyenas away from the carcass having a snooze in the shade. Let's have a quick look at them. And it sounds like Tristan has finally managed to sort out his gremlin. So let's have a quick look at the hyenas and then send you across to Tristan to see how his search for Tandy and Cub is going. There we go. Fat, happy Howards. Now, hopefully, Tristan can find Tandy. Well, hopefully we will. We've had fresh tracks for her little one, and screaming and crazy, and we just can't seem to find her. It's really dense, and so I think the little one is us, and then we just keep missing her. So I don't think Tandy's there at the moment. It seems as though Tandy
pesky gremlins following us about at the moment, which is starting to wear thin a little bit. Hopefully they'll get ejected at some point and we'll get rid of them and try and sort of sort them out. But so Tandy's trucks head east, and this is the deepest she's come into Djuma in a very long, well, since I've been back at work, and that's quite a while now. So very exciting that she's back in this area and moving around. Now I know that Aubrey's following up on signs of her around where we are now, Chelapan, Ingwe Alley, which is Leopard Alley. I mean, a lot of leopards before her have established themselves and walked around and many times, and actually it was a little sightings road because of, was it Nkuhumas, both of them that used to spend a lot of time on that road, and that became a little two-track, and then eventually now it's become a proper road. And so a lot of the leopards use it because of a series of mud wallows that are there, and so hopefully we'll get lucky and be able to find her somewhere in this little section, and then maybe, just maybe, if she's not hunting, maybe she'll take us back towards the little one, because I'm dying to see that little cub. It's been so long. The last time I saw it was in January, I think February, the 10th or 11th of Feb was the last time I saw it, so that's a very long time ago. It's 40 days ago almost now, which is crazy. So I'm really keen to try and see how it's looking and to see how big it's actually getting. Now there's a car in front of us, which is not ideal, so we're going to for them just to kind of move and carry on and go, because otherwise we're going to be eating their dust, which is never so very pleasant at all. Yes, I forgot about that. You might all be wondering why there is a slip-slop next to me, because I was driving down the road and I found this fancy pair of footwear that is ever so racy, with its racing red little kind of strappy parts, and what it's doing in the bush, who knows. But I know Brent Leo Smith, who's been struggling to find shoes, might be able to fit into these. And actually Brent Leo Smith, I don't know if he's shown you yet, has got a very fancy pair of shoes on that Jamie sent him, very racy. I think he's got Shoes of the Year award for Brent because they are quite something, and I feel like he needs to show you his shoes today, and hopefully he hasn't. He said he was going to try and make them less racy, but I think that he might not have completed that task. So to ask him to show you his shoes so that you can all see just how amazing they are. So we will take this back for Brent in case he wants a little option and shoe color and shoe sort of thing. Now Aubrey's saying to me that they actually have spotted Tandy coming down. Hopefully she'll actually hear somewhere. I can't hear now, but they saw brief visual that they actually have spotted. Very good news. So out here somewhere. This area is an absolute nightmare, and so I'm just hoping that wherever she may be, she decides to show herself rather quickly. Anyway, that's the idea behind this, and hopefully we'll get lucky. I'm very excited to think that we might actually see her. But William says he can maybe spot her now, and she's coming in this direction. So come on, William, where have you seen her? Now, William's got a bit of a height advantage on me because I'm sitting much lower than what he is. He's on a tracker seat, and so he can see nicely what's going on. Seems like she's still coming generally in this direction. Problem is we're going to have so many gremlins that are going to follow us around in this area, given that we've got so many sort of drainage lines that we're going to have to go through. It's going to be very, very difficult to be able to kind of see what's going on and to be able to actually get her. But still no sign of her. The guys are still coming back towards me, so I'm trying to go backwards as well as look for Tandy. This is all very kind of difficult to do while there's this flip-flop, and these people must be wondering, why is there a flip-flop on my dashboard? The things that we do sometimes. I'm sure people think we're absolutely mad half the time, and I suppose we actually are. We're not exactly the most sort of sane people, but that's okay. We'd rather be a bunch of colourful characters than just a bunch of people that don't really have any fun in life. I don't see anything, so I don't know if these guys maybe saw something different, but Aubrey's kind of still following me. I'm just going along what they're saying, so I have no idea where she is or if they actually saw her or what the story is. They just kind of came up on a whole bunch of vehicles, and seems as though the way that William was gesturing to me is that she was coming in this general direction, but I don't see anything for now. So I'm just trying to kind of go back until we get a fairly good view of the thickets here. You know with Tandy that she can change direction in a heartbeat and move very, very quickly, and become a situation where she might kind of just go in any direction. She might turn south, north, you never know with her, and that makes it very, very tough. Also, if you look into what she's walking, if she is inside here, it's almost impossible to negotiate. And in fact, with a vehicle, you cannot negotiate this block. I've tried many times to go through here. It really just isn't possible to actually get through. It's just thicket after thicket after thicket. And so we have a situation where she's not going to be able to kind of come through and get into these areas. But we're still going to try and see. I thought maybe I spotted her, but it's not her, unfortunately. Anyway, we'll sit here. We're going to try and see if we can find her and see where she's gone. And while we do that, let's send you back across to Miss McCurdy as she negotiates the long grass in search of the Nkuhumas pride.
Nope. We've moved out of the long grass. We are now on Buffelshoek boundary. Trying to figure out where these lions have gone. We can't find them. They could just be sitting watching us as well. So we've just come to see if they maybe didn't cross during the day. Maybe going towards Tamboti Dam. Jackson's just tapped his foot on the ground. I don't know what Rexon's seen. Yeah, I can't see anything. Lots of buffalo tracks though, you can see. Actually, if you go all the way down the road, you can see the pattern. But no lion tracks on top just yet. But they could have crossed anywhere. They could have gone into the drainage line. So that's why we've come out onto the boundary road to have a look. And we're lucky because this road is not soft everywhere. As you can see where typically the cars are driving with the wide sort of berth. The section in the middle is very sandy. And you can leave a footprint behind very, very easily. If a lion walks here, if we don't see it on the tread, or where the tyres are normally, we're probably going to see it on the middle of the road. Rexon has just circled up ahead, so there must be a track of sorts. And the reason why we do this is just so we can understand what's going on for the afternoon. It's hot. I'm exhausted. Yeah, this one we can see. Here we go. There's a nice lion track. Whew, I'm a bit out of breath. Maybe I shouldn't have done a workout today. Anyways, so the track is obviously going in that direction, going back to the west. So we could try and walk in here again. Maybe they are still around, not going back into Buffelshoek. Now, a question that we get quite often, if we prefer bushwalk or driving more, they're so different. So Carol, to answer your question, it kind of depends. You know what, you see more animals obviously in the cars, so that's exciting. Bushwalk is awesome because you get to see the smaller things. The only thing is that some days, on cold days, you don't see any insects, you don't see anything, or you sweat on a really hot day like Seb. I'm looking at Seb's arm and he's glistening, and I don't think he's wearing shimmering body lotion either. You didn't take some of Shan's, no? You didn't, right. So they're so different. I like both of them, but walking is very exciting, especially being able to do approaches on big game. It's epic. It's amazing. The adrenaline rush that you get from it is something like no other. Anyways, we're going to keep walking. I see Rexon has now moved off of the road, so perhaps he's seen more of the tracks going in, and we're going to scan back into this long grass, but off you go back to Brent to see what's happening at that carcass.
Well, we decided we're going to look for Hasana first, and he moved away from the carcass down here towards the east, so we're just having a quick look. I'm hoping that we find him. He was looking like he might be active this afternoon, but we all know little Hasana likes to move around during the day, so he could even be all the way at Chitwa by now. But there's some nice cool spots for him to snooze in around here. Let me just get my water here. Now, the other thing is Hasana might have headed for some water around JC Brink Pan, so we'll have a look there. Hasana, where are you hiding? Now, of course, not only the big cats we get out here, and Eloise, the best time to see caracal is any time. It's such a hit and miss. But normally you would say the best time to see caracal is in the winter months when there's not as much thick grass around. And the best places to see caracal in South Africa are generally in the deserts. The Kalahari, and actually, strange enough, just outside Cape Town in West Coast National Park. It's a very good place to see caracal as well. Drakensberg, there's various different places, but I'd say the number 1 and 2 spots to see caracal, West Coast National Park and the Kalahari, the desert. So have a look. If Hasana got this far, is he sleeping? It doesn't look like he came this far, but he could have easily zigged and zagged through the bushes. I'm looking very carefully into these shady Timbueti thickets, seeing if he's not snoozing in here somewhere. Where are you, little Hasana? Now, hashtag Safari Live is the best way to get your questions through to us. Oh, my goodness. Easter weekend, this radio is being burning. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Okay. So I said questions. Yes, questions. Send your questions through. Why aren't you sending questions to me? Please, hashtag Safari Live, or whatever feed you're watching on, just pop it on the chat section. It'd be great to hear from you. So while you think of an intelligent question to ask, I'm going to ask you a question, and that is... But before I ask you a question, John Michael, it is clean water in my water bottle. It is not dirty water. I've got enough water. I might have to dig for water later on in the drive in one of the riverbeds if I drink all my water, or I could just steal Dave's. Doesn't really matter. Okay, let's have a look. Hasana might like to sit on this termite mound because it's shady and it's high, but he has not. Okay, let's go up towards... Let's go up to Cheetah Cut Line, see if he has crossed or if he's headed towards JC Brink Pan for a little drink, afternoon drink. Okay, so I was going to ask you a question before I got distracted. And, it's actually, since we've been spending so much time around rotten meat, my question for you is, can human beings eat rotten meat? Can human beings, if you were forced to by survival, can human beings eat rotting meat? Hashtag Safari Live. Let us make sure our little prince is not wandered out into Torchwood. Now you might zigzag through to Leadwood. I'm just going to have a quick look here. I'm not showing anyone my new shoes, Joy. No, I haven't finished painting them. I've finished painting one. Go away, David. I'll smack you. I'll get a stick. Okay, fine. There's the one that I've finished painting. And there's the one that hasn't been painted yet. Anyway, there we go. Everyone happy now? Now, if I've missed leopard tracks, it's all your fault, because I was showing you my shoes instead of looking for tracks. I need to find a sauna so I can sit down and finish painting the other one. No tracks here. Okay, I just want to double check on the main road that goes into Chitwa, which is one of his favorite little routes. Now, I think Tristan swapped cars, found Craig, and should hopefully be on his way to Tandy at any second now.
Vulture's Nest, I know where you're going. Now, apparently you've come to us, which is a surprise because no one told us you were even with us anymore. Anyway, we're going towards the Mulawati. Now, we've swapped vehicles, as you can see. I'm no longer in Jig. Decided Jigger and I are just not compatible. Since Brent is stolen Rusty, we'll have a situation where I'm not going to work. But it sounds like Tandy, we had a brief visual of her while we were on cars. She's moving across the Mulawati, going straight back to where we've been tracking the cub and where the cub, I'm sure, is. And so we'll have a situation, hopefully, that she's going to call out the cub. The exciting part about it is that it sounds like, or it looks like, she's carrying something in her mouth. Obviously not a cub, but she's carrying what looks like maybe a scrub hare in her mouth. There she is, in the road, right in front of us, carrying the scrub hare. Look at her walking down the road proudly with her kill. How cool is that? Hello, Tandy. It's been so long since we found her and seen her that this is so cool. And she's right slap bang in the middle of the reserve. Now, I'm going to reverse back because otherwise she's going to go off the road. And I don't want her to go off the road because it's a situation where once she's off the road, it's going to be difficult to follow her. I want her to try and follow the road course as she goes because I'm pretty sure that's how she's going to lead us back to the cub. And so we're going to try and stay in front of her. But how cool is that? You can see she's obviously caught this scrub hare in the course of walking, because when Aubrey first spotted her, he said to me all he saw was her walking but no sign of any scrub hare. And now when we got her now, she obviously, as you can see, has made a kill. So very opportunistic, and this is typical Tandy, is to grab small carcasses like this and then able to try and kind of drag them back to her cub. Now, I think we can, Nikki, I think it will be more than fun to add some new viewers to our broadcast. We'll just go live on our various platforms as Tandy carries her cub around. I mean, not her cub, her carcass. But there we go, she's slowly kind of walking down towards us. Isn't this cool? Look at how she walks with her head held high. Hello, girl. It's been very long. Where have you been? Proud mom that's walking along. Now, I'm going to sit with her for a little bit, but while we do that, let's quickly send you across to Taylor, who seems to have found the Nkuhumas pride on foot.
We have a lion in the grass. We have a lion in the grass. Well spotted, Seb. The whole pride is here. In fact, you may be able to see the others are where you said they are. They actually want to slinking off now. No. They're just sitting low. We're going to walk a little bit. I'm just going to watch to see where they move. They haven't growled. They haven't done anything. They're just looking at us. So I'm going to stay behind Seb so he can get the best view. They know we're here. There's no need to pretend like we're not here anymore. It's quite a big pride of lions. So they're standing up now. Keep going, Seb. Just follow Vixen. That's a hectic sound, to have 10 lions running away from you. It's like buffalo stampeding, except it's not buffalo, it's the things that eat buffalo. There you go, so there's one lion that Seb's got. See, some of them ran away, the others didn't. Like I said, I'm not going to stop talking now, because they know we're here. And they're nervous of us. They really, really are quite nervous. So now that we have found them, oh, they're actually relaxing. One lion has actually just gone and laid down. That's awesome. That's fantastic. It might have been the sub-adults that actually ran, sort of not used to people, whereas there's one coming towards us. So do you want to use my shoulder? Are you sure? This is so epic. Oh, so cool. Anyways, we probably won't stay long here. We'll just have a little look. Off you go back to Tristan, who's got a leopard with a scrub hair in her mouth.
We do indeed. So our leopard is still walking with her scrub hair straight towards us. We've looped around and she's going exactly where I've been walking around trying to find her little one. So we're in the exact right place, and I'm pretty sure she's going to call the cub out fairly shortly, and we'll get a reunion of mom with the carcass as well, which is going to be absolutely insane. Good afternoon and welcome to sunny South Africa with one of the most amazing sights that you could ever see. We've got a female leopard that is busy carrying a scrub hair in her mouth, and the reason she's carrying it is because she's taking it to her little cub. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Wiem, and we are coming to you live from South Africa, as I said, which means that this is interactive, and you guys can interact with us by just asking any questions or comments that you have in the comment section below, and we'll try and answer as many as possible. But this is so exciting. We've been looking for this leopard for days and days and days and days. She's our most kind of well-known female leopard in this area, and she's got a little cub that we've been following over the course of the last 5 months, and there's been a new male in the area which has caused this female to move out and to go somewhere else, and so we haven't really been seeing her nearly as much, and so it's really exciting to kind of have her back in the area and to have her with us. Now, I'm trying to reverse with her because I know her cub is very, very close by. We've been trying to track her and the cub all afternoon, and we've managed to kind of find where the cub is. We just couldn't get a view of it, and now that mom's coming back with a kill, we should have a situation where we're going to hear her calling. Now, we're not far from where the cub was a little bit earlier, maybe about, I would say, 50 meters away from where we are, and if we stop here, there's going to be a path that's going to come, and this leopard should walk directly down the path towards us. It is really the best thing that you can have, is to be able to find a leopard like this. Like I say, she's got food, she's going towards a cub, and we're going to see the reunion of her and her cub together. And look at how proudly she's walking with that scrub hair in her mouth as it dangles. Now, this kill was an opportunistic kill. We had a situation where she was walking along and she saw the scrub hair and burst out and she grabbed it, and now she's carrying it back to the cub so that the cub can get vital nutrients to grow and get bigger. Now, I'm going to have to reverse a little bit because she's coming straight towards us, and this is one of the best things about being in the Sabi Sands Game Reserve in Greater Kruger National Park, is that we have this ability to get very, very, very close and intimate with one of Africa's most elusive cats. So here in South Africa, this is one of the best places in the world for leopard viewing. The Sabi Sands is a world-renowned area for leopards, and it's because the leopards here generally are a lot more relaxed than in other parts of the world, and that means that it allows us these intimate views of their lives, and we're able to see them and their cubs up close, which is very, very special. Now, I'm sorry if my head gets in the way. I'm trying to reverse while she's walking towards me because she's kind of trying to walk up the road. Now, where we are now, pretty much at this spot, is the last tracks that I've had for the cub running around here, and I had some nyala barking in this area, and so I'm pretty sure she's going to kind of call the cub very soon. Now, Ali from Pakistan, you saying hello? Well, hello Ali, I hope that you are well and enjoying this. Remember that you can ask lots and lots of questions, so if you have any questions about the leopard or the scrub hair or its cub, please let us know and we'll try and answer as many as possible. Now, I'm just trying to keep kind of in front so that we can just see her walking towards us, and you'll notice that there is another car in the area, and that's because people have come out to come see these animals in real life. So South Africa is one of the best places in the world for an all year round safari. Even though we're in our summer months and our rainfall times, this is a great time of year to be here because it's a time of plenty, lots of baby animals, which means that the predators are very, very active because they are going to be hunting a lot of the baby animals that are around. Now we're just trying to keep up with her as much as possible. It's really difficult with the kind of winding of the road to reverse and follow a leopard and try and kind of see where you're going, but so far so good, I think. She's just going to go behind that bush. She'll come past it now. But I'm trying to give her a little bit of space. I don't want to be right in her face. That's the thing about following wildlife, and why we're able to get so close to these leopards is because we spend a lot of time with them and give them their space. Diego, is only currently one cub with this female. She's an older female. She's now closing in on 12. And when they get older, you'll find a situation where they generally do have smaller litters. So in the prime of her life, she would have been able to produce 2, 3, normally 2 with this particular female. All of her previous litters have been 2 cubs, and now she's only just had the little 1 cub. And that one cub is about now close to 6 months old and still very reliant on mom. It's going to take a long time until it's going to be hunting for itself. Paula, the scrub hare that we're referring to, it does look just like a rabbit and is part of the same family. So rabbits and scrub hares are in the same family. It's just that a scrub hare is an animal that we get here that occurs in this particular part of South Africa that comes out at night. So hares are animals that are generally more active at night. Now there's going to be a bark from an antelope shortly, because there's an antelope right next to us called a nyala, and that nyala, when it sees the leopard, you see the leopard has spotted the nyala as well, and it's watching. Even though it's got a kill in its mouth, leopards are super opportunistic. Look at how she's watching. So the nyala's right here. There goes the nyala bouncing away, and she's going to watch that nyala. And even if she had a chance, if the nyala ran towards her, she would drop that scrub here and go after it. And that's why leopards are one of the most successful cats that we get in the world, because they are able to kind of hunt things at random and all kinds of variety of foods. So Michelle, you're asking if she's comfortable around vehicles. As you can see here, she's walking right at me. She's not showing any aggression. She's not running off the road. If she was uncomfortable with me being in front of her, she would have cut off into the road, and also with the vehicles following behind her, she would have tried to have disappeared into a thicket. So she's more than comfortable with us. Like I say, this is a female that has been in this area for 12 years, and so she's had vehicles following her. Started to give her a little bit more room than what I have, because she's going to need to be able to walk. This is where I think the cub is, right where we are now. This is the kind of area where I last had alarm calls for those nyala before we found her, and the last cub track I had, like I say, is right in this section. So I'm pretty sure this cub is going to be somewhere close by, and that she's going to call it out fairly shortly. And there we go. Let's see now. There's a little termite mound that she might go to. So Robbie, the cub is of age now where it could probably devour that entire hare. It's in a situation where it's able to eat quite a bit, but mom will get a share of it. So between her and mom, they'll both feed, and it's just a little meal for them. Like I said, if you can imagine, if she gets 2 or 3 of these in a night, that'll be enough to kind of keep all of them well fed. But look how she's cutting off. You see, she knows now exactly where she's going to find her cub and to be able to try and then call it out. So I'm pretty sure the cub is right here somewhere. I know that she's hidden it somewhere here. Soon she'll drop that carcass and call. And before we see that little cub come out, one of the special things about being in the Sabi Sands is that you're able to track animals on foot, and Taylor has managed to find some lions.
Look at what we've got out here. We're in the middle of the Sabi Sand, not too far away from where you were with Tristan, on foot with the biggest cats in Africa. Now, there's lots and lots of long grass over here. And Sebastian's going to actually walk forward. I'm just going to very quickly get another view. Come and have a look. This is absolutely amazing. Now, Jolyn, you've just asked if there were lions in the area. Well, yes, there are. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Sebastian. And there we go. How cool is that? To have lions. Now, because we're walking around in the Sabi Sand, it's one of the most amazing places in South Africa to come on safari. It is the #1 safari destination, and if you're lucky enough to go out on a bushwalk like what we're doing right now, you could have an encounter very similar to this. There are so many leopards, so many lions, so many amazing animals out here. But we don't want to stay here for too long. Now that we've found these lions, we've been tracking them all afternoon. We can call the safari cars on in so they can come and enjoy these animals well, not on foot, but in the car. But, of course, you were watching a beautiful spotted cat, one of the most elusive ones. And I'm going to send you back to Tristan so you can enjoy the show.
Well, look who's come out. The little cub has made an appearance. So there's that cute little face of the small one. So Mom has walked straight to her. And isn't this just the most amazing and uncanny thing that a female leopard can go off and hunt and walk directly back to where her little one is sitting, even though she left it many, many hours ago. She managed to come down the road and straight to where this little cub is. Now the cub is tucking into the carcass. The cub is the one that has now got the scrub hair, and look how it's looking at it quizzically. I know it's very thick, dense grass, but this is where a leopard likes to leave its cub, and so it's the perfect place for leopards. They allow their cubs to hide here, and they go off and hunt and come back, and they know it's very difficult for other animals to find it. So we managed to get the little cub as well, which is so exciting. So Alyssa, it is now 5 past 5 in the afternoon here in South Africa, and so it's the perfect time of day now. Now in the summer months it's a little warmer, and so this is the time that the predators get active. And so you were wondering about when the cats are most active, and this is the time now. As that sun is starting to set, it's starting to cool down, and this is when lions and leopards and wild dogs will start to come out and start to move around as they begin prep for either hunting or trying to follow their prey and being able to then try and kind of come up with a way to sort of hunt them, or to be able to go and scent mark. So it's the best time of day for the cats, and that's why we drive at this time of the day. It's also the temperatures are much better at this time of the day. Baharan, you say you're in Malaysia, and it's 11:05 p.m. there, so you're in the middle of the night, and I'm glad that you stayed up and managed to join us for this, and that you're interacting with us. It's always nice to hear from all the people around the world that end up watching what goes on with our show, and so I'm glad that you've joined us, and hopefully that you're enjoying it. Now, this little cub is busy snacking down below, and it's a bit of an obscured view, and so we're going to try and kind of see if we can find somewhere better to be able to see them. But it's been an absolute pleasure to have you all with us this afternoon. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it, and we'll hopefully see you again on Safari Live, coming live from South Africa. Guys, how cool is this? So Tlalamba is with Tandy and is now playing with the scrub here. I do want to move because if we go down onto the bottom of the bank, we're going to get a much better view of the two of them. But what an epic sighting, and a welcome back to the center of Djuma for our two favorite leopards, well, my two favorite leopards that we've got here. It's been so long, and this little cub is so big. I can't believe how much bigger it looks. At first we were kind of looking at this little face through the grass, and we thought maybe that it was Tandy, and actually it's the little one. And so she's growing up in front of us, and it's amazing to think that this is not even 100 meters from where we first had a sighting of her in that little cave as a tiny little fluff ball. So it's so cool to see her again, and I'm absolutely thrilled that we've managed to pick her up, and it's amazing that she's back in, like I say, the center part of Djuma. But what I want to try and do is try and just get into a better view. Also, there's some of the other guys that are with us here that haven't seen her, so I'm going to try and position so that they can see her, and we can try and go maybe down, and because our car is so much smaller, it's going to be able to fit a little bit better down at the bottom. So that's kind of the plan for us, and that allows these guys to be able to get into a situation where they can also have a little look at mom and cub, and so that's what we're going to have to do. But it's going to be a bit of a kind of loop around to get there. Oh, now come on, Wendy is the name. I'm getting confused between Rusty, Jigger, Wendy. I feel like I'm on all the vehicles is not ideal. They all have their own characteristics and their own ways about them, and so when you drive them, you get kind of confused between all of them, and they all feel so different. But let me try and head down to where it is. I know a little two-track that goes down. In fact, you'll see my footprints all over the road here, because this is where we've been tracking all afternoon. So it's kind of a situation where VM and I were walking around here. We knew this little cub was here, given that the Franklins were alarm calling Nyala, but it was just we were frustrated because I think the little cub was just watching us and almost playing a game in a way, and that it was just doing its own little thing, trying to kind of hide away from us, and a little nervous to be on its own. But anyway, it's good we found them now, and that's all that matters. And so hopefully we're going to be able to get down to where they are. Now, the problem that I'm thinking is that we might lose reception, so I do apologize if the gremlins kick in, but if we can get down into here, it's going to be so much better in terms of our ability to actually see them and be able to view them, that I think it's going to be really worth it. And Tandy's actually lying inside this drainage line. I can see, but now I've got to figure out a way to get through to where she is. It's possible because VM and I have done this. In fact, VM and I were talking about it earlier. The last time we were in here was tracking Tandy and Cub, and she actually gave us the slip that day, and I lost my cell phone, and I had to come around and to do a bit of cell phone tracking, which is not really good. Now, Nikki, I'm afraid I'm going to have to drop the antenna, so you are going to lose reception if I do so. So we're going to have to send you off to somewhere else, otherwise I'm not going to be able to move at all. Right, now we're going to send you across to Brent while I negotiate. This will only take 2 minutes, and then hopefully we'll see you back with the cute little Tlalamba and Tandy.
Well, hopefully Tristan catches up with Thandi and Cub. We're still having a little squiz around for the little chief horse. Oh, no. Doesn't look like he's crossed into Chitwa. We just had a quick drive on Shirombe Rombe, which means fig tree, for those of you who are wondering. Fig tree road. And I think I'm going to go check Leadwood. He might have cut further north in the block from where he was this morning. Now, at this time of day, he might actually just get curious again and head back to the elephant carcass. So we might go have a look there. Maybe head to the Nkuhumas with where Taylor was. So we've got lots of options. Or we might just go look for Hukamuri. We had a very brief visual of him this morning before he crossed into Arethusa, but apparently he came back. So the wild is our oyster. We have a literal mass of different kitty cats to look for today. Now, remember, I asked you a question a while ago, and remember, I asked you whether it was okay for humans to eat meat, rotten meat. Is it okay for human beings to eat rotten meat? We have some answers. Yes, yay. So I'm going to run through the answers and then I will give you my answer. Rosette says, I think we'd get sick. The animals have evolved to eat rotting meat. Let's see what. Ali says, maybe if we cook it long enough. Lol. What is a lol, David? I don't know what lol means. I speak the Queen's English. No such word as lol. No such word as lol. I refuse to acknowledge the lol. Shmama, nasty meat? Exclamation mark. Not without some nasty side effects, probably. Now, strangely enough, to a degree, you're all sort of right. Human beings can eat absolutely putrid rotting meat if you cook it long enough, but you can only eat it once. Not that fact, you can't, that section of meat, so you can't then reheat it or recook it later. But in terms of survival, you can actually eat absolutely rotten meat as long as you boil it for long enough. And boiling is probably, I would boil it, then I would burn it. Before I ate it, I'd rather it taste like charcoal than anything else. But yes, human beings are able to survive. But if you have to eat it very quickly, and you can't sort of have a pot of it and then reheat it or retry cook it and eat it, you'll get very sick after that. Now, a lot of the hello Hosanna tracks. And so he came this way. Those are fresh as well, nice fresh Hosanna tracks, not like rotten meat. Oh, it's got such pretty tracks as well, doesn't he? Look at that. So beautiful. There we go. The 3 back pads and the toes. Beautiful, beautiful track in this lovely light. Don't you think it's pretty, Dave? Very pretty. Not pretty is that elephant carcass, but we might go there. I'm going to go see if we can find a sauna. These tracks look very fresh. So, let's see. He could be very close here. Okay. So I was saying a lot of military special forces, anti-poaching special forces, that type of stuff. Part of the training is teaching you how rotten meat you can eat if you need to survive, and how to prepare it. So I have eaten some rotten meat in my days. Unfortunately, it was rotten buffalo. Sus, Brent. It was disgusting, I know, but I was very, very hungry. And that was in southern Tanzania on anti-poaching patrol. Okay. Now, I'm sure, well, all of us love encountering big cats on foot, so I'm sure Taylor must be absolutely ecstatic this afternoon.
We are, except I've got an injury. I've got to go home now. I need a doctor. No, I'm just joking. I don't. I did a classic one of these. It's my favorite maneuver to do when on bushwalk. Actually, everybody's favorite maneuver, where you walk and then you end up standing on the stick and kicking it straight back into your leg. And that was a buffalo thorn. I think I'm going to have to dig the thorns out a bit later. I think they may have come off. Anyways, oh, that was so cool. You don't understand how amazing that sighting was. Now, I've seen the Nkuhumas on foot a few times. I don't think I've necessarily been live. It's just sort of happened or getting out the car and tracking them and finding them. And every other time I've seen them on foot, they run, bolt into the bushes. I mean, you heard when we initially found them, I think you could. Nikki, could you hear them stampeding away? It sounded like buffalo when I said to you. I'm sure you must have been able to have heard them. But I don't know, maybe you didn't. I try to be quiet when they were running. Not all of them ran. It was the sub-adults that ran off into the distance. Understandably, they're not really used to us on foot just yet. The lionesses, however, have seen us a few more times, and they were quite relaxed. They stood up like this, looking around, heads up, and then eventually they just sat down and lay down again. They're still watching us, but they just showed that they were relaxed and they weren't bothered. And when I say they sat down, they didn't go into a crouch position. Their ears weren't flat back. There was no tail swishing. There was no growling. They were just watching. I don't know, we must have been between 35 and 40 meters away from them, which is fairly close. And I think they felt a little bit more comfortable with us because they had all the vegetation around them. They had some trees, they had grass, so if they needed to get away, they could have. They could just get up and bolt. My sound effects are ridiculous. I mean, what animal goes when it moves? I don't know. Maybe you can tell me. Anyways, so it was really quite cool to see that. I'm really happy with that sighting. We, of course, didn't want to stay too much longer. We got a second view of them. We let them settle down and then we repositioned slightly. And then I think there was one sub-adult amongst the adults there that sort of got up and stood, but she only walked 2 or 3 steps and then sat down again and was just watching us. So that was really cool. And even though we habituate the animals in the cars, which is quite nice, we don't want to habituate them that you can walk right up to a lion. That's not the point. But we want to get to a place that if we are tracking with them, we're not going to frighten them. They're not going to get up and bolt or anything like that. They might just get up and reshuffle, but eventually come back to the same place. So having these short, sweet encounters with the lions like that is perfect. No need to push it. Now, something I think I complained about all the time while I was in the Mara, even though I love the Mara, it was so beautiful, is the fact that I couldn't get out and track. And I'd often stick my head over the side of the cars at any moment to have a look. And I'm struggling to remember people's names today. I think because I'm so excited about, I was so excited about the lions, the adrenaline. It was John Michael. There we go. I've got the Michael part. So there we go. Yes, I definitely did miss the tracking parts of what we get to do here in the Sabi Zand versus what happens in the Mara. But I actually used footprints of animals quite a lot. I mean, some mornings you would have noticed, especially with the Olololo pride, is they'd come down the escarpment and they'd cross one of those main roads, which was quite sandy. And even if you couldn't trail them, because that's essentially what we're doing, is we're trying to trail them versus tracking, which is just identifying what animal has left that footprint behind, or dung, or who's bent, who's walked through the grass and the grass is now bent over, discussing these types of things. But trailing is picking up the track of an animal and then following it and finding it. So that's what we were doing. We picked up some more of their tracks. We walked further along the road and we actually saw they did a big loop. And then they came back from the east and walked west again. So that was really, really cool. And we couldn't do that in the Mara. You can't do it on grassy sections. It's virtually impossible. You need these sandy roads. Woo! That was amazing. So what we've done is we've now moved away. And some of you may be familiar with this road. We're on Gari Katlan. You can see Rex is just up in front, leading the way, just trying to see if there are any elephants that have perhaps crossed this section, because we're going to go to Vuyatela Dam now and then sit and wait and hope that a herd of Ellies are going to come down and have a drink. Very cool. Who knows? Maybe the Nkuhumas pride. Hopefully they don't go north towards Tamboti Dam, because that's not far away too. But we're going to keep on marching this way. I think we might jump and investigate some of the animal pathways that go through there. But let's go see how Brent is coming along as he drives.
Okay, so far so good. No signs of our little chief crossing out of our property just yet. So we're looping around. Seeing if he had went to Mamba, just making sure there's no tracks of him crossing into Torchwood. And if nothing, we've got a really small area where we know he might be hiding. So hopefully he'll make an appearance in not too long. Okay. Now, fortunately, this part of the reserve has been very quiet this afternoon in terms of vehicle traffic. Everyone's running around Lions and Buffalo's Hook and Thandi and Cub. So we're actually having a very peaceful time out here. What has been happening here? Uh-oh. Is that our tire making that noise? Oh dear. Oh dearie me. I think that sounds like a plug has come out of the tire. No, that is very strange. Oh dear. It's the valve that has just suddenly started leaking. And I don't have a valve spanner with me. Okay, I'm going to try to sort this out. Try back to camp before I completely flat. I think we got a fault in the valve here. I'm going to try and block it what I can for now. While we do that, let's go back to and some elephants.
We did have some elephants that were out on the road, but Unfortunately, he didn't get to us quick enough, and it is a breeding herd. He's just being very quiet now. It is a mom with a very young calf, so we don't want to get too close. We don't want to upset her, or she can come charging after us, and that's not what we want. Just watch your feet, Sid. She's trying to walk as quietly as possible because she's going to hear us. There's no wind. There's absolutely no wind at all. It's very important that when you do walk in the bush, you walk as quietly and as lightly as possible, especially when there is something like an elephant inside. What I often find helps is that if you walk on the outside of your feet, so don't necessarily put a flat foot down, just put on the outside. Cool. We're not going to tail after this cow. We're going to make sure that we're not in between a satellite party and try and move through it fairly quickly. So Brent is trying to fix his tire. Hopefully he'll fix it fairly soon. But let's go back to him.
Well, welcome. So unfortunately, I don't think, even with that plug I made, we're going to make it back to camp. So you're going to have to join us for changing a tyre segment. Okay. Darby, just while I'll go around to take off the tyre, can you keep your earpiece in case anything comes from FC? Actually, I'm going to go get the jack off first. So, one of the most dangerous things out in the African bush is not an elephant, it's not a lion, it is not a rhinoceros, it is not a hippopotamus, it is not a crocodile, it is a high-lift jack. I would say more injuries are caused by people who do not know how to use these jacks. Ooh, that's squeaky. Then, oh, well done, David. David multitasking from the back there, listening to Final Control and trying to get the spare off. So a lot of injuries are caused by these jacks. If you don't know how to use them properly, they can be very dangerous. You can break your leg, you can break your jaw, there's even been people who have been killed by these jacks before. So we even have a staff member who nearly broke his foot using one of these. David, do you remember who tried to break his foot with a high-lift jack? It was Jean-Ray. Yes, Jean-Ray sometimes doesn't listen to us presenters. But yes, so Jean-Ray tried to break his foot by using a high-lift jack incorrectly. If you know how to use them, they are an incredibly useful tool for lots of different things. David, you might need to move the camera, I feel. For getting out of being stuck, and I've even done a 3-punt turn with a high-lift jack in the Makhalikali salt pans mud. But the first thing you got to do is make sure you put the jack on the chassis and not on a piece of aluminium, because what will happen, oh dear, if you put it on aluminium, it will bend and you'll break the car and Steph will be angry with you. So what you do is you need to put it on a piece of the chassis like that. Lock it into place. Let me just double check that we're right on the chassis. A little bit to the right. Oh yeah, we're on the chassis. Now what happens when people hurt themselves is either the back foot plate kicks out and hits them in the legs and will actually break your leg completely. Maybe this commotion will bring Hasana around to come look. It's happened to me before. I've had lions come up to me while I was doing this. Now, the other thing a lot of people do, it's not so high and it's not so dangerous now, so I'm going to do it, is they do this. They put their head over this, and this thing can kick up, or this can kick down. So that's how the head injuries go. So you want to stand off to the side and be very careful. You're always watching the plate to see if it's slipping. We want some nice, relatively flat ground here. So not so much of an issue. And never try lift a car quickly with a high lift jack. One more should do it. And don't go higher than you need to.